Welcome back, everyone, to Open Line. Good show tonight. Interesting discussion. Talking about the possibility of a third party emerging in American politics. We have with us as our guest, joining us via Zoom, Hannah Cox. She's a writer with Newsmax Insider. Calls herself politically homeless at this point. Is a libertarian, upset with the way President Trump has been governing, and is basically politically homeless at this point. And what is the possibility of us having a third party, that emerging? Several calls. Let's go to the phones here. Let's go to Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hey, good evening, Ben, and good evening to your guests as well. First of all, I want to say I feel like a big weight has been lifted off my back. I voted this afternoon. I only had to wait 45 minutes, and I feel so great and liberated. And I've been waiting for this for over 3 years. But anyway,
Good
back
for
to
you.
the point. Yeah, thank you. I don't really believe we need a third-party system. I think you just have to make the electorate get more involved. And if the people you vote for within 4 or 6 years are not accomplishing what you want, that's why we have the freedom to vote them out. And I just think it needs to be more grassroots efforts in either the Republican Party or Democrat, and basically make them do their job or vote them out. And but I do agree with some libertarian views. I'm a Democrat, but I consider myself a centrist Democrat, tilting to the left of center. But I think this is a great conversation, and I hope my vote for Joe Biden goes through, and everybody get out and vote. Thank you.
Everybody get out and vote. I agree with that. Everybody get out and vote. And he's happy with the two-party system, says just hold those in power accountable. You don't like what they're doing, vote them out. What do you say there to what we just heard from Mike?
Listen, I can't say anything against somebody who wants to get more grassroots involvement, who thinks people should be paying more attention to our political system. I agree with him on that. I think that's something we should all be working towards, and I think that's the real goal. If we had people that stayed engaged throughout the years, actually followed what their representatives were doing on a day-to-day basis, I think we have a much better system. I think we'd see a lot better results. I think there would be a lot of significant change. So I have no problem with what he said. Now, I don't think that that we see that happening. I don't see a sea change of that occurring, and I think as it stands, we still have a lot of voter suppression in this country. A lot of people who have kind of given up on the political process, and as someone who works closely around the political process, I get it to an extent. It's hard not to get discouraged. It's hard not to feel disenfranchised or hopeless when you really just don't see anybody that's capable of pushing through and really fighting for the things that you believe in.
Do you think we need to reform the money in politics? Some of the campaign finance issues that just allow so much money to pour into these two major parties. Does that need to be reformed? And I know libertarians are sometimes kind of hands off and open and all that. But is it possible for a third party to emerge when there is so much money that's being poured into this two-party system?
Yeah, I think that it's something we should look at. I'm going to break with most people of libertarian conservative ideology on that probably, and I think that the money in politics is a tremendous problem, not just as it pertains to third parties, but as it pertains to across the spectrum. What does my representative really care about me writing in and complaining about a vote when somebody else is giving him a $5,000 check to make that vote? Right? That's ridiculous. That really eschews our representative government. I think that there's a lot of problem. I have a lot of ideas for this, and it's not my specialty, but I would love to see a cap on money that came outside of somebody's district, right? Why are you taking money from people outside your district? It should be your district you're beholden to. It should be the voters there that you're representing that truly have your ear and that you are most interested in. And so there's a lot of ways I'd like to see the money reformed, but I certainly think that change will have to come if we want to get back to a place where voters have any kind of real meaningful say on what happens. We're even legislators, people in office oftentimes don't really get a lot of say because of the money, right? Like you've got to raise, $300,000, $400,000 to win a state Senate race that pays you maybe $20,000 a year. And then you've got to keep doing that to stay in office. And you've got to make payments to get certain appointments to committees. And you've got to vote according to what the leadership tells you to vote. And so a lot of people spend a lot of money trying to get into office and still find they don't have a lot of a voice once they're there.
Yeah, that's a problem. Let's go to Tina. Hello, Tina.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Hello?
Tina, yes, hello, you're on. Go right ahead.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I'm having a little bit of an issue with you calling Trump less effective. I think one of the biggest issues that we have in American politics is the outside noise. And there has been more noise and chaos around this presidency, all because Hillary Clinton got pissed off and didn't win. And the American voters said, you know what, we cannot keep doing this system anymore and just keep electing these people that are just primed for the political process and to take office, and we already know how they're going to vote and who they're loyal to. This man has gone through false accusations on the whole Russia thing, a fake impeachment. He has every single day since 2015, and he rode down that elevator, he has been called a liar, a racist, a white supremacist, a thief, a this, a that, and it makes me insane that media such as Channel 5, you're owned around the world by what, 9 corporations? What kind of a story and a true story are you going to get on this president? And the thing is, the person that Trump is running against right now has known since the beginning that all of that was false. It was fake. There was no basis on it, that he allowed the country to go through this chaos. Millions of dollars wasted.
Do you think President Trump is responsible for any of the chaos, or do you think it's just he's a victim?
No, I do think that he is. He came out as a typical New York real estate entertainer, you know, whatever. But I do think, and I do follow him, and I have followed him since the first time I heard him talk about a flat tax in the early 90s, and a flat tax was the only fair tax. And I have followed him through his career and have been laughed at my whole life for saying that he would be a great president. Yes, he started out wrong, but he wasn't a politician. He hadn't been groomed to smile like Joe Biden and, oh, come on, man, and all of that stuff.
So you like him because he's an outsider, and you feel like he's been treated unfairly. Is that right?
Well, I do think he's been treated unfairly.
Okay.
But what makes me the most angry is a former president in Obama and the former vice president allowed it to continue instead of stepping up and telling the truth, which is what a president and a vice president are supposed to do, look after our interests. And they have the entire, all media, all Democrat House Congress people all singing the same song. Adam Schiff. I've seen mountains.
Okay, all right. Well, all right, so you're saying there he's a victim.
I'm sorry.
All right, that's okay. Yeah, all right. Okay, she likes that he's an outsider. I get that. There are a lot of people that like he's an outsider. She thinks he's been wrongly dealt with. All of that. I'll just let you take this. Go ahead, Hannah, with whatever comment you want to make here.
Yeah, there's a couple fair points to be made there. I agree. I think Russia was an entire hoax. I think it was a hit on a sitting president. I think the impeachment was a sham, and I think the media and the intelligence community were all complicit in that. What makes me mad about Trump is that he recognizes this happened, but he's never turned around and done anything to clean up our intelligence community or really have a reckoning with how far outside the bounds of our Constitution they've gotten. We've known that they've been out of control for many years. People, libertarians, Justin Amash, Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, we've been ringing the bell on this since the George W. Bush era, much less during the Obama years. Nobody cared until it was used as a weapon against Trump. Nobody still cares that this is the same weapon being used against average American citizens who don't have the power and money to defend themselves as President Trump. That's a huge problem to me. That's another flaw I see here, where we don't actually turn around and consistently fight for individual liberty and limited government. So I don't think that she's totally off base, but I don't see Trump as somebody who's come in and in any way rectified that. Let's go to Reverend Fuzz. Reverend Fuzz, good to hear from you. Thank you for calling in.
Listen. In Nashville, the metropolitan Nashville, when we have elections like for mayor and city council, it's nonpartisan is what they call it. There is no party, right? So that's my question. Why do we even have to have a darn party? Why can't we just be Americans and American people who run for office? Why are you trying to create more parties? Why don't we just do away with parties? And that's kind of my question. There's got to be a reason for that. You know, it works pretty good for Davis from metropolitan Nashville. Davidson County, they have parties like the sheriff and the judges have to be a Democrat or Republican.
Right.
I think that's kind of ridiculous that judges have to be Democrat or Republican. Why can't we just do away with parties and run for office as an American citizen? That's my question.
Reverend Fuzz, thank you for calling in. Thank you very much. All right, what about that? Do away with parties. And you lived in Nashville. Our mayors are nonpartisan. It's just two people. They just run. No party. You just vote for the best person. Now I know we've had parties in our country forever, Whigs and Tories and all this stuff. But what about the possibility of just doing away with parties?
I think the Reverend brings up a great point, and I actually think a lot of the founders would agree with him. You know, George Washington, in his departing address, commented on this and said, "Let me warn you now, in the most dire of terms, of the baneful effects of party." I don't think that political parties are a good thing for our system. I think that they're probably an inevitable thing. I don't know that it seems realistic we could ever totally get rid of them. I think a lot of people make a lot of money off of them. But as a whole, they enable citizens to be lazy. Right now, you know, we've got most people in America that are kind of a team mentality. It's a football thing, right? I am an Alabama fan. You're probably a Tennessee fan or a Vandy fan. And you probably don't give a lot of thought to why you are that. That's just how you grew up, and that's who you have allegiance to. And I think parties enable people to have that mentality with politics, and they give them an out where they don't have to actually do that much research into a candidate. They don't have to actually look at policy. They don't have to look at voting records. And so it's a lazy excuse for people to kind of participate but not really be that informed. And I also think it leads to tribalism. I don't think that it's healthy for our system. So I love the Reverend's idea. I would love to see us move towards that kind of system. I think things like ranked choice voting, which is something we've seen taking off in a few different states and is gaining in popularity, could be helpful to try to move in that direction.
All right, fascinating. Thank you, Reverend Fuzz. All right, we'll take a break. Come back, take more calls. Take a break. Be back right after this.